Hi Jacob, and welcome back to another episode of Hypothetically Speaking, What If You Were a Monkey? And today, we're going to be talking about Ben Shabibo, the pinnacle of Republican political commentary. Now, I know the Ben Shabibo joke is not mine. I heard it from another YouTuber who made a pretty good video on Ben Shabibo called Run, Hide, Fight is Straight Up Dumb. Her name is Chloe Klingon, and I urge you all to go watch that video. It is hilarious, and she perfectly deconstructs the movie. She only has 43 subscribers, and honestly, she deserves so much more. But anyway, who is Ben Shabibo? Well, he's the head honcho of the Daily Wire, but what is the Daily Wire, and why am I making an entire series about it? Well, let's find out. The answer to the first question, that is, the second answer will never be answered. I will never tell you why.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
The Daily Wire is a right-winged echo chamber of ideas founded by Ben Shabibo and Jeremy Boring. It hosts many people that all say the exact same thing. Liberty, guns, beer, and Trump. The four horsemen of the apocalypse, and the only LGBT that Ben Shabibo endorses. The institution includes the horrifying faces of Ben Shabibo, Candace Owens, Andrew Clavin, Matt Walsh, and Michael Knowles. This is in order from least bad to terrible. The site has a hefty price range, especially for the type of content that you'll be getting. For $4 a month, you get the Reader's Pass, which unlocks mobile app, lets you read articles without ads, and enjoy op-eds. Now, that may sound like a pretty decent deal, although the fact that you can only read makes me wonder why you would pay $4 a month to read articles that you could read already. But next, you pay $12 a month to get the Insider Pass, which gives you all the previous benefits along with Apple TV and Roku apps, all the shows that you can find on YouTube, and a Tumblr that says Leftist Tears. Real mature, Ben. Lastly, and most egregiously, is $20 a month for all access, which includes all the previous rewards, the ability to talk to the people at the Daily Wire, do live hangouts, and get a second Tumblr because one just wasn't enough. But seriously, you're telling me that I have to pay 20 bucks a month for this, which is just a bunch of right-wing bullshit on repeat? By the way, I'm not right or left-wing before anyone calls me a libtard. When I can pay a minimum of $8.99 a month for Netflix and get hundreds of thousands of movies? Yeah, okay, Ben. But of course, I didn't buy it because everything I wanted to talk about was here on YouTube. But let's stop beating around the hypothetical bush and talk about Ben Shabibo. Ben was born in Burbank, California on January 15th, 1984 to a Jewish family, and according to him, he never played with toys or had many hobbies in his early years, primarily reading and playing musical instruments like the violin. He managed to skip 2 grades, those being 3rd and 9th, and in 2003, Shabibo wrote a book, the first of many, which made many remarks against Palestinians, saying things like the ideology of the Palestinian population is indistinguishable from that of a terrorist leadership. However, this is not the worst received of his books, for there is one that people on both sides absolutely despised called True Allegiance, which is apparently so bad that no one liked it. Sometimes the quotes on the book manage to adequately insult the book far better than you could ever hope to. Meet our new Ayn Rand, Salon.com. What the hell am I meant to say that tops that? Nothing, that's what. So instead, I'd just like to point out that the quote above, which the publishers of the book hoped would be seen as a positive by potential readers, is from a headline for its review on Salon.com, which follows that glorious proclamation with Ben Shapiro's ham-fisted propaganda fiction is worse than you could have guessed. Gotta love when publishers try to spin a negative review of their obvious garbage to be praise.
For a guy who complains about the left constantly trying to brainwash and influence people through Hollywood, Ben sure as heck doesn't come off as a hypocrite here, winky face. The novel is written incredibly poorly, with a plot line that I would expect from a 12-year-old boy. I'm assuming the book did not have an editor because no editor would let slip, and his head blew back like a Pez dispenser, seriously, into a book. Ben also can't go a few paragraphs without preaching about how the right-wing politics are the best-wing politics. Every right-wing meme is used. Unions are bad, government is bad, social programs are bad, Vietnam War, Iraq War, all were justified. It's okay that Bush killed hundreds of thousands of civilians, even moderate Muslims, probably terrorists, or sympathize with terrorists. Racial profiling is okay, etc., etc. Probably the most egregious example of this occurs at the end of the book, where a Muslim on the plane stands up and starts praying in Arabic. Ben writes that everyone on the plane was, quote, frozen by political correctness. Ben can't get past his politics and write a fictional story that works. Sad. Why do I keep doing this to myself?
This isn't just propaganda. I expected that. But it's very poorly written propaganda, and that I can't forgive. Also, I'd just like to remind everyone that Ben Shapiro once called for the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians, so fuck him.
I would also like to chime in here and say that this guy made a video talking about the full book in its entirety. It's over an hour long, but if you guys were interested, I'll leave the link in the description. Check him out, he did a good job.
I don't want to talk about it. Don't bother reading this right-wing trash written by a squeaky-voiced little man who squandered a Harvard education to work at Breitbart. If you want to laugh, listen to the Chapo reading series Tear It Apart. Once you know how embarrassingly cringily bad of a writer Ben Shapiro is, you'll have every reason to never take this chewed demagogue seriously ever again. In this book you'll find justifications for why a cop should shoot an 8-year-old black kid wielding an orange-tipped toy gun, that all Muslims are chaotic evil terrorists who want to watch the world burn, but actual right-wing domestic terrorists are patriotic heroes, that there are really WMDs in Iraq, but they were smuggled away to Iran, who hate America for no reason and want us all dead, and oddly homoerotic descriptions of Ben's military badass Gary's stew of a protagonist. A bear of a man? Really, Ben?
Now you may be saying, but Cribby, just because a bunch of these reviews say that the book is bad doesn't mean that the book is really bad. What if it's really good, but there's just so many liberal snowflakes that hate Ben Shabibo? Well, it's possible, but Occam's razor, my friend, the book's probably just shit. Moving on, the next few years of Ben Shabibo's life were filled with political opinion. He called for the reinstating of sedition laws, which are laws where you basically oppress freedom of speech by letting the government fine / imprison / deport anyone who spreads false or malicious writings, ignoring the fact that this clearly violates everyone's freedom of speech. When Ben makes it seem like he's a champion of free speech, it also, not to mention, gives way too much power to the government to let them decide what is false / malicious, as the government could call anything against itself false or malicious without it being true. In 2007, he wrote an anti-Arab article which spread very damaging information saying that Arabs were rotten to the core. However, things started to turn around in 2008 when Ben married Mor Toledano, an Israeli doctor. Now, do you think that maybe Ben stopped, took a second to think, and maybe, tried to settle down a bit in his political compasses? No. Why would you think that, stupid? No. In 2010, Shabibo argued that homosexuality was an illness because they have higher depression rates and don't make babies. Huh. Ben, I wonder why gay people have higher depression and suicide rates. Is it because everyone on the internet makes fun of them and says that they're a mental illness and that they're a virus and a mistake? No, couldn't be. Now, While there is a lot of bad, there is some good. Ben used to work at a right-wing news station called Breitbart. However, he resigned after seeing that the site was pandering to Trump's interests too much. So we can see that Ben at least cares more about his values and following the agenda he aligns himself with, which is refreshing when we get to the worst people at the Daily Wire, at least. Now, unfortunately, I cannot show every clip on the Ben Shabibo show because that's over 1,000 episodes that are all at least 40 minutes long. But here are just some of his clips.
Very, very important news. Demi Lovato has come out as non-binary, which is to say Demi Lovato is exactly the same person that she was 3 days ago. Just now, Demi Lovato says that she wants to be called they, them, which is weird because she's not separated into more than one human.
This is an argument that I see all the time in these shows, and I just genuinely don't understand how someone can't be this idiotic. People have used the word they, them to describe a single person before. That's not a new thing. It's not always plural. Even stuff that has gone back, like literature in the 1800s, has called people they, them. Not necessarily because they were non-binary, of course, but just because they were either unknown or they had already said she, he too many times. So it honestly doesn't make any sense that Ben is using this as a genuine point.
You can't officially change your pronouns because there is no box that you check that you have officially now changed your pronouns.
Shabibo, why do you do this? Okay, so no, there isn't a place where you check that you changed your gender, but there is a box that you check that says male, female, other. So, like, come on, Ben. Have you never looked at a form before?
That is United Airlines. So United Airlines put out a video suggesting that they are going to ensure that half of their pilots are going to be women or people of color.
Interesting, Ben. Let's see where you got that information from.
Departure review is looking at the plate, everything checks good. We're going to just nav it out, then airplane set up for it to actually fly navigation all the way out for our nav departure.
By 2030, we plan to train 5,000 pilots. We plan for 50% of admitted students to be women or people of color. Partner organizations will help identify and recruit top talent.
Shabibo, do you have a brain? Hello? Is it hollow in there? What the fuck, dude? Did you not read what it said in the thing? It's for them to train them to become pilots. It's almost like a pilot school. And they're just accepting more black and female students. How are you... Alright, first of all, how are you supposed to get prior knowledge or whatever if you're just now going to take the class to fly an airplane? Doesn't make any sense, Mr. Shabibo. And two, what are you talking about? Oh no, a pilot school is teaching a woman or a black guy how to fly my plane instead of a white dude. How terrible. Now I'm gonna die in the Atlantic Ocean. It seems like you're not really looking at any of the facts and just let your feelings trump over this one, Shabibo. Not only that, but they also said that they would be hiring the top recruits to be pilots, so that means out of all of them, not that 50% of the recruits were even gonna be black people or women.
And so we are going to now indoctrinate children into the wonders of various sexual orientations and the complete moral relativity of human sexuality. And we're going to do this to like 4 and 5-year-olds. Because confusing children is what people are in the business of doing. Because if you can confuse children, and if you can tell them that true glory lies in how you identify on the inside, as opposed to, you know, complying with basic societal norms, not with regard to even sexuality, but with regard to just decent human behavior.
So that was a lot, but here, let me just sum it up for you. Ben Shabibo is upset because they're indoctrinating your children into the gay agenda because showing kids that gay people exist is making kids gay. What? That doesn't make any sense, Shabibo. By that logic, showing kids that black people exist is gonna make a kid black. That doesn't make any sense, Shabibo.
This is woke indoctrination of small children on sexual matters. Don't tell me that that isn't abuse of children. It is. It is mass abuse of children.
So, saying that gay people exist and that they are real people and just explaining what they are is abuse of children because it's sexual. But every single Disney film where a guy kisses a woman and it's sexual isn't... Okay, Ben. Go off, I guess.
If somebody came into your house and started doing this to your child without your consent, you would immediately call the cops. Okay, I'm not talking about like physically abusing the child. I'm talking about if an adult came into your house, a man dressed as a woman came into your house and started singing to your child about the wonders of various sexual orientations, and your kid's 5, you would call the cops.
Well, I don't know about you, Ben Shabibo, but I would personally call the cops if anyone came into my house without me knowing. I mean, would you call the cops if someone bust into your house and decided to feed your kids right-wing propaganda? Would you just see that and be like, oh yeah, that's cool, I'll let him be? Like, what?
Okay, the only reason Nickelodeon is doing this is to please its most fervent radical supporters.
Fervent radical support? What leftist is watching Blue's Clues?
They're taking your kids away from you. And if given power, these folks will do the exact same thing physically. They will take your kids away from you. Okay, this sounds like Chicken Little Sky is Falling stuff.
Probably because it is, Mr. Shabibo. But no. What? That's not how that works. That's not... No, they won't take your kids from you. Who said that was the goal? Huh? They want to physically take your kids from you. Shit, this is bordering on some QAnon shit. I don't want to... I don't even want to touch this.
They're taking your kids away from you. And if given power, these folks will do the exact same thing physically. They will take your kids away from you. Okay, this sounds like Chicken Little Sky is Falling stuff. Because what we have here is 2 conflicting visions of how kids are civilized. One suggests that kids must be civilized to a quote-unquote non-judgmental society in which all behavior is treated equivalently, except for religious and traditionalist behavior, which is treated with scorn.
Wait, what? When was religious or traditionalist behavior ever treated with scorn? What are you talking about? Are you talking about the government saying you can't discriminate against gay people because that's not a religious thing? Because if that's what you're saying, then I honestly would like to know why you want to discriminate against gay people in the first place. And if it's not, then what are you referring to?
YouTube basically reversed itself. It reversed itself by going after a guy with whom I am friends, Steven Crowder. So they say, well, you know, Crowder hasn't violated any of our policies that require us to take down his stuff, but we will demonetize all his videos.
No, that does suck, Mr. Shabibo, and I'm sorry for your friend Steven Crowder, even though I fucking hate him. But I'm still sorry for him because that should not be happening. But to be fair, YouTube demonetizes everyone. So it's probably because Steven Crowder swears. Because YouTube does no to swearing. We don't like that.
Intent on destroying any possibility of you receiving the information you want from shows like this one.
Maybe you shouldn't get the information you want, but more the information that you need. The information that's true. Not saying that this ruins all of his point, but I'm just saying that he might want to word this differently.
That's why I'm calling on you today. I need you to subscribe to our show over at dailywire.com.
No.
And I'd love to have you subscribe for a variety of reasons, including the fact we bring you really great material.
Wrong.
You can help fight them. Free speech can only survive with your support. Please head over to dailywire.com right now. I'm really asking you sincerely, please subscribe. It helps us bring you the show, and it makes sure that when the left comes after us, just as they do every other conservative show, then we will continue to stand, because we're not going to kowtow to their politics. I'm not going to change my message. That's something I'm not going to do.
Oh geez, that was a whole lot of bullshit. Alright, let's start off with the fact that you're so generous, you really want to keep free speech there, which is why you want to charge people $20 a month so that they can see your bullshit. Yeah, you're so kind. You're so kind that you're gonna let us pay you money. Now, secondly, the funniest part about this is that this video was posted a year ago. And it's still going around as an ad, which means that YouTube has not silenced this creator. Oh wow, it's almost like the fact that this video still is up and still exists completely disproves your point. Oh, I'm so sorry, Mr. Shabibo. This is embarrassing. So, as you can see, not very good is the understatement of the year. A whole lot of them are spreading false information and things that are debatable as absolute fact, and the few that aren't are just giving really dumb takes on current politics. Congrats, Ben. I bet your parents are so proud of you constantly strawmanning and making shit up. Next up, we have something that all the people at the Daily Wire, except for Candace Owens, have done, and that is preach at college campuses for an organization called the Young Americans Foundation. Which is a conservative organization that goes around to different colleges and tells them about conservative values. Now, these speeches are full on glimpses into their agenda, but I feel like the most important part of every speech is the debates between the people of the crowd and the heads of the Daily Wire. Now, let's ask the question, how do these people fare against the brutalizations of some random dude? Well, let's find out how Ben does it. Keep in mind, this is all from the Young Americans Foundation. Best of Ben Shabibo supercut. So, this is their best. I'm not just cherry picking.
Okay, I won't ask you how old, I will ask you how old you are, okay? Because you're young enough that it's probably not insulting to ask you. So.
I'm 22, so I'm probably young and naive, right?
No, why aren't you 60? Why aren't you 60?
Because it...
And why can't you identify as 60? What is the problem with you identifying as 60?
Now, this is something of a Ben Shapiro classic. He loves to put in loaded questions so that people get stumped on the answer because there's no correct way to answer the question. If you answer one way, then you're wrong. If you answer the other way, then you're also wrong. However, when you actually look at it, his question is fundamentally flawed and doesn't actually help any argument in any way. It is literally just supposed to be a gotcha so that, you know, he looks smart and so that his side prevails. He's not the worst person that does this, but he's still one of the people that does this. And it's really dumb because that is literally a logical fallacy.
And just logically speaking, anytime you make something illegal that occurs, there will be more illegal instances of that thing happening. And I'm sure that, you know, when slavery was legal, then, you know, it was legal. That didn't make it either moral, decent, or right. Once it was made illegal, then I'm sure that everyone who was holding a slave was in violation of the law. You know, so I guess there were more illegal holdings of slaves after we made slavery illegal. But there was less absolute slavery, which is the actual goal.
Ben Shabibo. Okay, let's say, hypothetically speaking, from a hypothetical perspective, if a woman is hypothetically such a point in her life where she would take the life of an unborn fetus, she would do it whether it is illegal or not. So hypothetically, in this hypothetical scenario, that would mean that this woman would become a danger to herself by going and illegally getting a fetus removed which can have serious damaging to her body, including death. Now, in this hypothetical scenario, because we outlawed abortion, that means that we lost both lives instead of just one. No matter how you see it, we lose more if we take away abortion. So, just in this hypothetical scenario, what are you talking about? Thank you. That was my Ben Shapiro impression. Rate it from 1 to 10. My idea is that it's a solid 9. But seriously, Shabibo, come on, man. Come on. If you take away abortion, then that means that people that are going to get abortions, who are going to do it no matter what, are just going to be in more danger than if you just kept it legal and had safe places to do it. So, I don't know where your logic is.
So what's your formal education background? Because I guess a lot of people don't know what your undergraduate degree was in.
So I was at UCLA in political science and then Harvard Law School.
Okay. So you don't have, you wouldn't consider yourself an expert in sociology?
I mean, I don't consider sociology a particularly expert field, but go ahead. I think I'm able to read a sociological study.
Study, but so you're not necessarily an expert.
Yes, there are lots of fields of study.
Right. Well, what I'm getting at is there's a lot of topics.
Let's put it this way, I know a lot less about welding than I do about sociology.
What I'm getting at is that you're not considered an expert in sociology, psychology, gender studies, lesbian dance theory, many of these things that you've brought up tonight.
I know a lot more about all those others than lesbian dance theory. As far as, if you want to take issue with the argument, I would urge you not to use the argument from authority, which is somebody has a PhD by their name, they know what they're talking about. That's a dumb argument.
Well, that argument alone might be kind of dumb, although it makes sense. If someone has studied something extensively for years, they know more about it than someone who hasn't. But even saying that argument is somewhat true, this is like a reverse appeal to authority, really. It's more like he's saying, oh look, that person specializes in that field? Well, I'm a Republican political commentator, so I know more about that field than they do. That just doesn't make any sense.
If you want to go to Planned Parenthood and get a contraceptive, go for it. I don't care. I do care when you start killing babies. This is a problem for me.
But what about in rape and incest situations?
Okay, so this is so here's the question.
It's different, yes.
I mean, this is a long conversation. I'm enjoying it actually, which is why I'm allowing you to stay. But the question of rape and incest. First of all, important to note, rape and incest are not only a vast minority of abortion cases. They're an extraordinarily low percentage of abortion cases. So if we can first stipulate that all the other abortions are bad, then we can talk about that other one. Can we do that?
That doesn't make any sense. You don't need to stipulate that in order to talk about why rape and incest cases are bad. Honestly, I don't understand why he thinks that this is even a point, because you don't need to stipulate. That is something you do not need to do in this scenario.
Are all the other abortions bad, or are those ones okay? And you're just using this as an excuse to make the other ones okay?
I mean, no, I believe a woman should have the right to move on.
Got it. So it's an excuse, right? So it's an excuse so that we can say that, so that we can take the marginal case and then say that the marginal case applies to all cases. Okay, that's again faulty thinking.
Here's the thing, Shabibo. If you have abortions for one group of people, those being those that have raped people, then you have to have abortions available for everyone in any other group, or else there's not gonna be any way to regulate that. You can't be absolutely certain that someone has raped another person, just like you can't be certain that someone hasn't. There's no way to figure that out. So I don't understand how this is supposed to change anything, as a woman could just lie about why she's getting an abortion and get the abortion when she really didn't get inflicted with any physical rape.
But if you want me to answer specifically on rape and incest, here is my basic answer. Rapists should be castrated or killed. You shouldn't kill babies. End of story.
What? Shabibo! What the fuck? That doesn't make any sense. What if the girl is underaged? What if they're not able to take care of a family right now? That kid would be born into some terrible circumstances. And honestly, it'd be better if the kid wasn't born. I mean, it doesn't make any sense that you see this as, oh, look, this is so black and white. Kill rapists, don't kill babies. But there's so many different things that make abortion, like, necessary, even if it is cruel in most cases. It's just the fact that you fail to see why that argument doesn't work is so ridiculous to me. Now, to be fair to Shabibo, he does do better than his comrades at the Daily Wire when it comes to debates, as he doesn't strawman and make shit up nearly as much as the others. However, he doesn't make any good arguments, and now we're on to the last subject of the video. Lastly, let's talk about PragerU. For the uninitiated, PragerU is an online conservative university that airs videos showing your favorite people at the Daily Wire and other places talk about airheaded issues. I'm not gonna go out any more in depth. If you want to learn more about PragerU, you can check out Illuminati's video about PragerU where she goes more in depth about the history of it. Although, to be frank, the video makes many logical leaps, so just watch with caution. And also watch Sean's video titled How PragerU Lies to You, which goes over many of PragerU's videos and deconstructs them better than I ever could. Now, without further ado, let's talk more about Ben Shabibo.
Vanderbilt University, November 2015. 200 students rise up to protest the white privilege and microaggressions of the racist, bigoted Vanderbilt administration.
Okay, so I just looked this up. If what I see is true, Mr. Shabibo, you're leaving out a lot of shit. Okay, so according to this article called Protests Over Campus Relations Spread to More Campuses, there's a section about Vanderbilt University, and this one was made in November 12, 2015. So it says, at Vanderbilt, many minority students have in recent days renewed a push for the university to take action against Carol Swain, a tenured professor of political science and law, over a column she wrote in January after a terrorist attacks in Paris against a satirical magazine, Charlie Hebdo. In the January column, Swain asked, what would it take for us to admit we were wrong about Islam? What horrendous attacks would finally convince us that Islam is not like the other religions in the US, that it poses an absolute danger to us all and our children unless it's monitored better than it has been under the Obama administration? What the fuck? Ben Shabibo left this out?
Why?
Oh, it was just to prove his point, and so that he could make the other side look as dumb as possible. Well, that makes sense. But also, like, I guess that also fits with Shabibo because he seems to not like Muslims either, so.
If somebody asks you, where are you from? That's considered a xenophobic microaggression.
Shabibo, where'd you get that? I don't think that's true. I have not heard anyone say that, Shabibo. Get your facts straight. Get your facts straight.
First, they say it's okay to punch Nazis. Then they say that every conservative, in fact, everybody they disagree with, is a Nazi.
Shabibo, you're gonna have to, like, cite specific examples or something, because I'm very inclined not to believe you because I've never seen anything like this.
According to the liberal Brookings Institution, if you make just these 3 decisions, you'll do fine. And with drive and ambition, you'll probably do better than fine. First, finish high school. Second, don't have babies before you're married. Third, hold down a job.
Ah, I see. So as long as I follow your values, I'm gonna succeed in life. Even if I don't share said value. What if I don't want to graduate high school and instead want to, I don't know, make YouTube videos for a living? What, would that make your life not successful, Ben Shabibo?
Imagine a group of activists so powerful that they could beam their propaganda directly into your brain. Now also imagine that they're so sophisticated, they actually get you to pay them to do it. Unfortunately, you don't have to imagine it.
Yeah, it's already here. It's called the Daily Wire and PragerU.
Create characters we keep wanting to spend time with, then have those characters act in ways most of us would judge wrong. Then, in effect, they ask us a question. Isn't it really okay that Rachel from Friends decided to have a baby without first marrying Ross? After all, you like Ross and you like Rachel. How can what they do be bad?
'Cause characters have flaws?
It hasn't always been this way. For decades, Hollywood promoted traditional American values. That changed, as did so much else in the late 1960s and 70s.
Oh, I see. So it always was propaganda. It's just now that it's propaganda that you don't agree with, it's bad. Okay, Shabibo, okay.
Millions of Americans, sitting in their living rooms, saw a beloved character do something they did not approve of, and they felt sympathy.
Isn't that a good thing? Isn't it a good thing that entertainment is giving us different points of views? Being able to live a day in that person's shoes could change an entire worldview for some people. Isn't it a good thing that entertainment allows us to do that? Or are you saying that we shouldn't have created empathy for someone who probably wasn't a bad person? Just so you guys know, this is the perfect way to end this segment. This is an end card screen that Ben used in PragerU.
There's a reason PragerU videos have hundreds of millions of views. They're informative, the people who are talking are always interesting, except for me. All the animation is fantastic, and most of all, you can send it around to all your friends and they actually know more than they did before you sent it. You should definitely consider giving some money to PragerU. I've become so numb, I can't feel you there. They're informative.
Bullshit is everywhere. Bullshit is rampant.
The people who are talking are always interesting.
Bullshit is everywhere. Bullshit is rampant.
All the animation is fantastic.
Bullshit is everywhere. Bullshit is rampant.
And most of all, you can send it around to all your friends and they actually know more than they did before you sent it.
Bullshit is everywhere. Bullshit is rampant.
You should definitely consider giving some money to PragerU.
Nope.
As you can see, Ben clearly has no idea about what he's talking about in any of these videos, yet he's given a platform on PragerU simply because his political party aligns with that of PragerU. Sadly, this shows how unfortunate our politics have become in the past few years, which is oof. Seriously, Ben, do better, come on! To wrap up, Ben is a political commentator that knows nothing about most of the subjects he talks about, makes many generalizations, specifically for Muslim people, as it seems his view of them is strictly controlled by feelings alone, with no facts. Little ironic, hey Ben? Makes many false statements and seems to care about the side he believes in and rarely attempts to educate people without poorly shoving his agenda, even in his books. All I can say is that it only gets worse from here. But anyway, Jacob, if you like this video, please like and subscribe, ring the bell, share it with your friends, join my Discord, link in the description and in the about section of my channel. I was totally in the US and not in another country for the past 2 weeks, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Yeah, you effin' with some wet-ass P-word. Bring a bucket and a mop for this wet-ass P-word. Give me everything you've got for this wet-ass P-word. Beat it up, N-word, catch a charge. Extra large and extra hard. Put this P-word right in your face. Swipe your nose like a credit card. Hop on top, I wanna ride. I do a kegel while it's inside. Spit in my mouth, look in my eyes. This P-word is wet, come take a dive.